Hey everybody, it's Mr. Sutton, and I just wanted to give a little bit of a tutorial on how to do the one-point perspective drawing from the interior of a room. So you want to position yourself roughly in the center of a wall, and it should be the farther wall away from you when you're sitting. You know, it could be up close, but then it's hard to get in all those converging lines. So obviously the wall that's across the room from you furthest away would be the best one. And you want to be relatively in the center of the room when you're looking at it so that the wall looks like a rectangle. All right, so let me get started. Okay, so you can see I have a blank canvas here that I'm working on. I'm actually going to do this in Photoshop. You can be doing it on paper with a ruler or a straight edge, or if you want you can try it in Photopedia or in Adobe Photoshop Sketch on your Chromebooks. But I'm going to, for now, be working in Photoshop because that is easier for me to show you how to do it on this lesson. So the first thing I want to do is I want to bring in a horizon line that is about my eye level on the wall. So from a seated position, I am lower than the center of the wall, so I'm going to drop in a line there. You can do that with your paintbrush tool, with a pen tool, or using a line tool is probably the best way to go if you're doing it electronically. So somewhere around here I would say is a good eye level for where I'm sitting. I'm going to hold down Shift and click and draw out the line, and that'll keep it completely horizontal. Notice that I have a 1 pixel stroke, and that should be good enough for this project. So I have it the way I want it, so I'm just going to click off and I should be able to see my horizon line. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is create a vanishing point. For a vanishing point you probably want an X, so I'm just going to do that with my type tool. Somewhere roughly in the middle of the line I'm going to click center. My text is red right now, I'm going to make it black. I don't need something to stand out like that. And I'm just going to kind of click in the middle of the line and type the letter lowercase x. I'm going to change the font, something small, something that's kind of simple, so like an Arial narrow works. And I can make it much smaller than that. It's at 90 points, so I'm going to bring it down to 24 points. If I zoom in you can see better. It's a little bit above the line. The X is not centered on the line, so I'm just going to use my move tool to just drop that down just a tiny little bit so that it's centered on the line there. And now I'm going to zoom back out. Alright, not perfectly centered left to right, but it's close. So long as you're reasonably in the middle of the room, this will work. Alright, so now I want to define that back wall as to how far in the left and right it sticks out and how high and low it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle. So I can just use a rectangle tool here, and I'm going to draw in that back wall. Again, I want it a little higher at the top than on the bottom, and I'm a little bit to the left of center, so I'm going to drag it over this way. And when I release it, it's going to fill in because I forgot to get rid of my fill. So I'm going to take away the fill. I'm going to make the stroke a little stronger than 1 pixel so that I can see it a little better. I'm going to hit enter, click off that tool, and now you can see I have the far back wall. Now this room's a little weird. There happens to be a window up in this corner that goes all the way to the ceiling and all the way to the wall because it's part of a basement that was converted into office space. So I can put that in, but I'm not going to worry about it just yet. Instead, what I want to do is I want to focus on the other walls, the ceiling, and the floor. So how do I get those? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the line tool. I'm going to start right at the center of the vanishing point, and I'm going to drag a line out from here all the way off my page because the walls extend beyond where I'm sitting, right? So you see how I've gone from the X through that corner over here and all the way off the page. So that's the first line that's going to define the wall that's to my right, the bottom of the wall, and the floor under me. I'm going to click off it and click back on line, and I'm going to again, starting right at the X, click through this one. And because I'm a little closer, notice it's not going to go off the edge the way it did. It's going to go off the bottom. But I am close to the center, so it's not so far different on either side. I'm going to click off that so that I have now 2 of my lines defined. So let's add the third line. So now I'm going to define the top wall and ceiling over here. going to click here on the X and drag it right through that corner again, and then off the page. It's got to go exactly through that corner and off the page. So now this is the wall to my right. This is the ceiling, but I don't have where the wall meets the ceiling defined yet. I have the whole floor defined over here and a wall. So basically I have one more line to put in. So I'm going to go back to my line tool, click on the X again, and drag it again through there, and it's got to go exactly through that corner. And now I've basically defined the space of the room. I have a wall to my left, I have a wall to my right, I have a back wall, the one that I'm looking at, and I have a ceiling and a floor. Now I don't need the rest of the lines in here. Notice in my layers panel, these are all smart shapes, right? So I do need to get rid of them as smart shapes so I can adjust them. Let's rasterize all the lines. So I'm going to go, let's go from the layers panel, layer, rasterize, and all layers. So now if I took my paint bucket tool and fill that, so I'm going to make it a white wall. I'm going to go to my paint bucket tool and just fill that shape. This line is over it, so I'm going to move it back. You can see now my back wall is white here, and I've gotten rid of that, but the edges of my walls are still retained, right? So now I have the basic interior of the room. If I wanted to, I could add in that window that's up in the upper corner, and it gives a little bit of an interesting perspective. It's sort of an inset window and the wall goes into it, so I can show you how that works itself out. So basically, I'm going to put in the rectangle for where that opening is, where the window insets. So that would be my rectangle tool. That's way up in this corner here. I'm going to move that to the top so I can see it. Okay, so now I have the box where the window is. The window itself is actually inside that box. I'm sitting over here someplace, so I can't see this edge, and I'm also lower than the bottom, so I can't see the window sill there, but I can see that the line continues here in a little bit, and then there's another rectangle where the actual window pane is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my line tool. I'm going to continue this exactly in the right same shape. I do want to make that line thicker, so I'm going to actually just trace over it and make that 5 pixels also. And I'm going to find exactly where that ends, bring it there, and bring it in just a little bit more to show where the top of that window inset is. And I'm going to bring that to the top. So now I can see that whole line. I'm going to click off it. Now I can take another rectangle tool, or if I want to just continue with the line tools, let's do it with the line tools. So working from here, I'm going to bring another line and click right on that spot, and I'm going to hold shift and drag down to make a perfectly straight line. I'm going to end it right at the windowsill there. Going to hit enter. So now I'm going to go back to my line tool, and I'm going to go across now right up to the window ledge, hit return. So that's my inset window. My window has some design in it. It's got some horizontal and vertical crossbars. So I'm going to put those in just so that you can see it's a window better. So again, I'm going to stay with the line tool. I'm going to draw while holding the shift key. One last thing that I want to add to this, because I said not to put too much detail, but like windows and doors are kind of important. There is a doorway over here. Where is my horizon line and my X? I want to bring those back to the top so I can see them. So I'm going to move line 1 back to the top so I can see the horizon line. I'm going to move the X back to the top so I can see the X. Okay, so now to draw the doorway, what I need is the top of the door. The bottom of the door actually goes to the ground here, right? So I don't need to do that. It's already there. But I got to draw the top of the door, and then I have to draw 2 vertical lines. So let's go. We're still on our line tool. I'm going to say the door is starting here. That line is going to go straight from the vanishing point to the end of the door. And then I need to add 2 lines for the vertical part of the door, and maybe a little circle for the doorknob or whatever the doorknob is. So I'm going to do a line, click right on the tip there, and hit shift and drag this down all the way to the bottom of the wall. And then I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to start right at the top of the doorway there, hit this and drag to the bottom of the wall, and now I have my doorway. And the rest of this line I don't need, so what I could do with this line is edit, retransform, and I'm just going to, without distorting this at all, I'm going to just keep that right at the top there and just bring that line right to the top. And because we had it in the right place before, that should be perfect for the top of our doorway. Alright, and I'm going to hit the check mark to accept that. So now I have a doorway. It's kind of a plain door, it has no decorations on it. There's a door handle that's lower than my eye vision, so it should be down here someplace. I'm just going to put a circle to show where that door handle is, or an oval, because it's not in perspective it would be an oval, right? So I'm going to use the ellipse tool, and it's lower than my eye level, let's say about that low, and I'm going to just kind of make it an oval. I'm going to have to rotate it a little bit so that the top and bottom of the oval point to the vanishing point. So click off of it and go to my transform tool again, free transform, and I'm just going to kind of angle it so that it's pointing more toward the vanishing point. That's basically my room. I can stop showing those two, so I'm going to turn off the X and turn off line 1. Touch up the bottom wall here. I didn't go over that one. I can just retrace the bottom there so that I have a nice strong bottom line too. This should not take you a very long time. Take your time, do it well, but it shouldn't take you more than a few minutes, especially on paper. It's a little faster. Alright, so that's basically an interior one-point perspective of a room. I didn't put in any furniture. I have all kinds of shelves and tables and things in here that I left out of the picture just for simplicity's sake. I didn't put any of the framing around the door or at the edges of the window itself, just where it's sunk in over there. Alright, so that's what I'm looking for. Nothing too complex, and good luck with it. Let me know if you need any help.